Let's fucking go. You are listening to the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy.
Whoa! Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believed me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic got to say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fitting for it, cause you all cap like. Hold up. I shoot my shot, wait, hold up. I'm really about to run this go up. You know it's all net when it go up. Ain't got no other plans, you don't need to understand.
Oh, nice.
Out in the cold. Did it there.
Serene. I'm excited for you.
Thank you,
It's
man.
gonna be a good time. I love the vibes already. Honestly,
You know, it's something else when you're doing it this many times. And there's nothing more that I hate than failure.
Yeah.
Because that's how you feel, like you just failed, because that's not the expectation.
yeah.
And you know, my biggest failure was with baby mama,
Yeah. Well,
you know,
it
and
happens.
that was alcohol, and me. I was responsible for the alcohol, and yeah. And then after that, I don't know, I just couldn't get it right.
Sometimes it takes a couple runs.
This is a lot of runs, man. But I actually feel like this is, the person I'm meant to ride the rest of the journey with. I think that's a fair way to assess it.
Yeah.
I think she feels the same way.
I'd agree.
Yeah. I mean, with the stuff that we have in common and the stuff we like to do, I mean, nobody I've ever been with has liked sports as much as Dawn does. Nobody I've ever been with has liked working out as much as Dawn does.
Yeah.
One worked out, but it wasn't the same. Not like this. I mean,
Yeah.
where it's really important for both of us.
Yeah.
that
For sure.
we do that, and just part of the lifestyle and the way we live. So yeah, and I am excited. And then it's kind of turning into that we really were just going to have, my sister and her kids and their significant others.
Mm-hmm.
One is engaged, one will be engaged soon, and just that and doing it in our backyard. We bought this arch, and we were going to make it look nice back there. But it seems a few people like kind of want to be there for that.
Yeah.
That I really wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not against that. So anybody that wants to do that, we're going to make arrangements for that too. That means now the other thing I have to do, I put that on Brendan to rent us some chairs or something.
That should be pretty easy to secure, I'd imagine.
Yeah, that shouldn't be too bad. And other than that, just like I said, the food, and we're good to roll.
I've often thought that, like, I understand why people have like extravagant huge weddings, but I've often thought like it's about the people that are there, not necessarily
Yeah.
about where you're at. I feel
Yeah.
like that's what makes the wedding great, but I've never been married, so I could be wrong.
Yeah. Well, I've had 4 different kinds of weddings. So, and Dawn was previously married once, and she had the traditional wedding that people normally do.
Mm-hmm.
But today, dude, I mean, even if you're not, I mean, I don't know how people are doing it without significant help, from family, because the cost.
It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I mean, just, dinner at Bourbon and Bones, if we do that, that's going to be probably between $3,000 and $4,000 before tip.
Sheesh. Is it like
And that's small. This
Yeah.
is like saying 25 people or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, is it like a catering thing type of deal that they're
Well,
charging
no,
you
we
under,
would,
or
no,
just,
that would just be
just like a regular
be there, and we wouldn't have to, we're not paying for a room.
Yeah.
They have a back room to hold,
Mhm.
more people. It would be doing that. And, I mean, I'm not going to limit the menu. You know what I'm saying? If you want a steak, you're going to get a fucking steak. Simple as that,
agree.
and then the sides are all shareable. So you need, based on how number of people or however it does. And, we're going to do dessert. The plan wasn't to have a wedding cake, but who knows at this
Yeah.
point, the last minute things we do, because that's just me too, just piling more shit on,
Yeah.
as we go. And that's kind of been what's happening. And, I guess you wouldn't have to take as costly honeymoon as we're doing, but Dawn's never been there. And it's how we travel. It's how we roll now. It's the bottom of the top 1%. So, I think my sister's flight from Detroit Airport to here round trip was like $675. So she obviously didn't book first class,
Yeah.
and she was worried that was too much. I'm like, no, that's all good. I got
spent
you.
that at the casino.
I got you. I got your ticket. You're all. I think I actually said something similar. I said that's dinner in Scottsdale,
I was about to say like a round of baccarat.
or no boo for sure.
Yeah.
No boo with tip. For just the two of us is typically in that $600 area. So I was like, it's all good, And then 7 nights at the Four Seasons, and it's one of the probably top 4, depending on what you're looking for. Easily, it's in the top 4 of hotels on Maui, and 7 nights was a little over $11,000.
Yeah. That's where I think the money should be spent, to be honest.
But I'm just saying, people could have a whole trip, to Mexico, to Cabo or something, and everything included for what the air flight is.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, we're doing that, and like I said, I'm good with all that. But just I'm saying, like, how for middle class or people lower middle class, people putting a wedding together. I mean, even if they're trying to do it, on a budget, there's just not a cheap budget, man,
Yeah.
for that, anymore. It's just
Yeah. It's because they know. I mean, there's very few places that offer like the accommodation of what you're looking for, and they take advantage of it. I mean, they are a business. I get it, but it is expensive.
yeah, even I can't imagine what the bottom line is.
Yeah.
But I could see a more traditional wedding like, I had originally had the second time. And like Dawn had, today, that's got to be 40, 50,000.
Yeah, that's crazy as fuck.
Yeah.
That's so
Well,
fucking
and who wants, that's like student loan debt.
Yeah.
Who wants to, that's not good to start out in debt that way. So
Yeah.
like I said, hopefully, families helping out there too.
For sure.
At least I'm saying so.
Well, if you do decide to get a cake at the last second, never underestimate the power of a Dairy Queen ice cream cake. That's my shit right there.
Is it?
That's my shit.
Dairy Queen? We like Dairy Queen now and then.
It's just their cake, like their ice cream cake to me has always just been so fucking good. And it's consistent. But
Yeah.
it could be a personal thing. It may be something I grew up with, but those cakes, man.
My favorite thing at Dairy Queen is a Heath Flurry.
Really? Heath.
Heath.
That's a first, actually.
Because you got the crunch in there that is so good with that toffee and then the chocolate. That's one of the, that's number one for me.
I think I'm a M&M and brownies type of guy.
And I like that too. Yeah.
It's not really like it's a classic, but I've always been able to rely on it.
Yeah, for sure. So we're just, finalizing that and coming to the realization that it's 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Yeah, what's the official date?
The 29th.
The 29th.
Yep.
Perfect. I have 2 weddings this month. I have a friend of mine. I have to fly home, go to their wedding in Cleveland, and then I have your wedding. So everybody's getting married. I'm just sitting here like, what am I doing? Maybe I should be getting out there a little bit more.
We'll set you up in with an interview for Married at First Sight.
Yeah. Okay. If they pay, absolutely, 100%. We did have a comment from Bob.
All right.
He said, we went from a wedding in Vegas to 120 people and mostly family in 3 months. I wouldn't change a fucking thing. Yeah. I agree. I mean, it's just the people that are there.
Yep. For sure. That's what it's all about. And just, it's like we're going to have, and I appreciate you guys helping out and being there and getting some pictures and stuff. But, and I'm not trying to shit on photographers or anything, but the truth is what most people do, especially for their first wedding and paying a photographer, and that I just got to tell you that you look at the pictures, sometime after the wedding and the honeymoon, sometime after that, you go through the pictures and you make your choices of what you want. So you see them then. When they provide them to you, you see them then, and maybe you're putting a few in frames and things like that. But after that, you never look at those pictures again until you have a child.
Yeah.
And then when the child's a little bit older, you might share the pictures with the child. This was, mom and dad getting married, and
yeah.
But children are there's no more kids. I respect the dudes that have that I've seen that have been able to produce a child in their late 50s and even 60s.
Yeah,
there's some
crazy.
I mean, hey, that's a lot of power, man. You're not low T.
No.
You are high T individual. But yeah, fuck no. Like,
yeah, it's just a time perspective. I already know.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Yeah, I can't either at that age. Like, that's crazy as fuck.
I mean, I had actually potentially thought about it when I was early 40s.
That's like,
And then because I had already had the procedure done, that the chances of reversing it and doing anything were not great.
yeah.
So looked into adoption, and because I was adopted, so I was kind of hyped up a little bit about the adoption thing and the possibility to get, a child that's been hard to adopt that might be in the 7 to maybe no more than 12 years old.
Yeah.
Because for a husband, for a man, that's, to share sports and go do things and, activities and stuff. That's our time. I mean, we can care for a baby and assist in the caring, but it's really the mother that's the nurturer, naturally for those number of years at the beginning. And, we're just like this, that's why we start so early now. We start at 5, putting a ball in their hand and let's go, kind of a thing. So, I thought, yeah, that'd be cool. I could do that. And I thought it would be, cool to get that age child that would be ready for that. And obviously there's something going on that, where they put up for adoption later at 5 or 6, or where they just not be able to be adopted out, or, what fuck up was there with the original family and stuff that, one that needed to be needed, a child that really needed to be needed and wanted. So I was all about that. But dude, I looked into it and all of the things they make you go through.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Crazy hard.
Yeah. I think the applications are like $1,000 alone, aren't they?
Not just that. You're looking at, and I had my financial planning practice then, so I was making really good money. So there was going to be no issue that I could take care of a child and had a great daughter, that raised and put through private school and stuff. But it was like, oh my God, like no wonder, these especially older ones don't get adopted because you make it so fucking difficult.
Yeah. I'm not gonna act like I understand the process for it, but I would imagine it's because they want to make sure like they are going to a good home, right? Like that's.
Well, I'm okay with that part, but it still shouldn't be as hard as it is, because look, how hard should that be? Because they still got to place the child for the most part with the foster home. Okay, well, you want to make sure the kid's not going to be abused in a foster home either.
Which, by the way, does happen a lot, actually.
It seems like it, doesn't it?
Well, there's actually my cousin was, I'm not gonna get too deep into it, but he was somewhere where somebody was like a foster home, like they're taking care of it, and she's a horrible person. She just pockets some money and doesn't take care of the kids. Like they're about to report this lady and get her arrested. Like it's fucked up. Like what some of these people do for a government check.
That's what I mean. That shit happens, and then you have a stable place and somebody that can afford it. Because most of the time when you have a child, if you wait till like the perfect time, there's never a perfect time.
I was about to say, yeah.
That just does not exist. And you make it work with the cost. But if you're using that to gauge when you're going to do it, you're going to be 42.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But you do it, you figure it out, and somehow things just happen and it's okay.
Plenty of people have made it work just fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so yeah, that's kind of I don't know how I got off on fucking kids, man. From this shit.
It's just the way it goes sometimes.
Yes, it is. That's the way it goes when we talk about this. So that's where we are with the wedding and everything. And yeah. And then just the things that go along with that, then doing the right things, getting things set up that most people procrastinate about, like a will and things like that, and getting that kind of stuff done. And because that's the easy thing to procrastinate about, because you just, even at 58, I don't feel invincible anymore. I like to pretend I'm invincible though. And I'm allowed to pretend I'm invincible, because if these motherfuckers can pretend they're a woman, I can pretend I'm invincible, okay?
They pretend to be a lot worse things.
So I think I'm invincible, and, well, it's never it's something that's really important to do, but you can't always say that it's the most important thing to do today.
Yeah.
Because there's always some immediate fire in life that it's either you're putting out the fires.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
and that never changes, by the way. People are always looking for life to get easier.
It doesn't.
Stop it. Stop it.
It's just how much your load management is really how much you can, your appetite for it, how much you can handle on a daily basis.
And I am so fearful for the COVID generation, because they are so incapable of interacting with other people. I mean, a large percentage.
Yeah.
And I mean, just, they think everything is a microaggression. They think that they should not have to experience anything that's uncomfortable, because they've been told that what matters is their feelings so much. So if they're feeling uncomfortable, they just don't think they should have to do that, and they're looking for an exit. When all of life, so here's life advice from an old man. All of life is about engaging in the uncomfortable every single day. And if you are not experiencing doing uncomfortable things, you are doing it wrong. You're just doing it wrong. That's how it has to be. You have to do the uncomfortable things, the things you don't want to do. And we really, I blame COVID for a lot of it. Things were going soft. Yeah. Oh, I blame him for sure for that, because of closing down the schools.
Yeah.
The schools never should have been closed down, because the healthiest people, there are people, I got in an argument with somebody, and she was talking about the tens of thousands, or like some ridiculous number of kids that were protected or saved, by the COVID vaccine. That's just, or said how many had died. I'm like, do you realize less than 10 died?
Yeah.
From the age of 14 and under in the whole United States in that whole 4 or 5 years, less than 10.
Mm-hmm.
The people that were most protected were kids. And if they did get COVID, they were going to have natural immunity. And most of these kids didn't have to worry about any secondary illness or anything like that. And look, if you were a kid that did have some other issue that potentially, if you did get COVID, could be really bad, then get the vaccine. But there was no need to vaccinate all kids. And I can say, it doesn't mean now they have it. If you take issue with one vaccine, you're an anti-vaxxer.
Yeah.
No, I just don't
I know.
I don't believe that one. Or like the one they give babies where the mom basically has to be on drugs.
I'm not too sure which.
There's one like that where the mom basically, the only way you're going to get fucked up is if mom's like on heroin or something like that.
Partying.
Well, then we know that. So then do what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
But 99.578 of babies do not need that vaccine. So it's just the number of vaccines have gotten out of hand, and it's maybe could not really likely happen, but there's that 1% chance. Do you really want to take that 1% chance? Yeah, I do. Because everything else tells me that kid doesn't need it. And we didn't need to do that. And we shut down the fucking schools, and that just sent this whole generation just so far backwards.
For sure. I agree.
Boy, we scared the shit out of them. For one,
Mm-hmm.
literally scared the shit out of them. And people are still scared today.
Yeah, it
Because
doesn't go
even
away.
though, because we didn't, just because, I mean, we see a low number of people wearing masks, but the fact that we see it at all tells you how scared they made some people.
And you want to talk about low T, like imagine like staying inside your entire life. Like the way that stuff happens is like you're sitting down and you have a fucking phone like two inches from your face all day, every single day. Like I feel like that's a big reason why you see a lot more feminine type men, to be honest with you. That maybe that's just my personal observation, but I was looking at like, it's weird how I draw this back, but I see like old videos from like high school football players. It was like Southern California's like top like recruiting class, and it was on the news and they were going through it. And I was looking at these dudes. I was like, these dudes look like they're fucking 40 years old. Like these are 18-year-old kids that look like they're 40 years old. And then I look at like the kids that are like at my high school, like today, my old high school, and they look 12. And they're about to graduate high school, and it blows my mind, like the difference in that, like how they look. And I can't imagine, it has to be because people were outside doing more, they were working with their hands more, like there just wasn't as much screen time. I just feel like those two things are interconnected.
Oh, the screen time went through the roof.
Yeah.
And then you get them involved in these different chat rooms related to gaming, and I'm not shitting on gaming, but a lot of not cool shit happens in those chat rooms, right?
I'm well aware. Yeah, there's it's a big issue, very big issue.
And not that it wouldn't have been an issue anyways, but would it have been as big if we didn't have the lockdown and they were going to school and doing all the stuff before? They're still gonna, come home and game, but again, the amount of time. Kids that were doing work at home, you think they were really spending the same time or amount of time doing that work at home as they would have if they'd have been in person?
Yeah.
No. And, not every parent was able to go remote.
That's for sure.
So
absolutely, yeah.
You're just leaving it on its own.
Yeah.
Now, my generation could handle that shit, because that's how we grew up.
Yeah.
We were the original latchkey kids, So, I mean, probably my mom was at home most of the time, but most of my friends, their parents were not home when school was over and weren't going to be home for a couple of hours at least.
Yeah. I mean,
or longer.
I feel like maybe this could be biased of it, but I feel like my generation was like the last that experienced that, like their parents weren't home right away. Like you'd be outside till 7 p.m. till dark, really. Like my grandma would always tell me, like, you can go outside and hang out with your friends, but you just got to be home by dark. I don't.
The proverbial when the lights come on, the street lights come on, right?
Yeah. I feel like my generation was the last to really experience that until now. They just don't go outside at all. That's really how it feels.
And it really is like that. And I want to switch over to something else that I care about a lot and very, very deeply about. There's a difference between being pro-war and being pro-military. Let me just point that out first. There's a difference. I'm not against war when we need to go to war. I'm pro-winning. I'm pro-winning wars. And that's what disturbs me the most about what's been going on. And I just don't understand. I'm as much as I like Trump, and I'll never regret my vote, I don't understand what the play is here. I don't understand why you're not following through with the threats that you made, because it makes us look like shit. I never make a threat personally that I'm not willing to back up 100%. If I'm not willing to back it up, the smart play is don't make the threat at all.
Yeah.
That's just the smart play.
That's usually the rule of thumb.
And this back and forth here, Iran has proved even more recently in the last couple of weeks, they are simply doing what we said, that simply delay. And whether the president handles the problem now or after the midterm elections, either way, the problem needs to be handled. It could be even worse or harder to handle the situation by waiting until after the midterms, because you may lose control. We may lose control of either the House or the Senate. And if that happens, yeah, things change. Even though the president is supposed to be the commander in chief, they're going to come in with some roadblocks. And as of now, their roadblocks don't work because they're not the majority in either one. So now's the time to take care of it. And the people you've pissed off, even people in your own base, you've just pissed them. I guess what I'm saying is it can't get any worse, man. It can't get any worse. They didn't like you to begin with. So whatever you do, they're going to hate. So if doing nothing, they hate you. Doing something about it, which in my mind is forcing them to surrender. And you can't do it at this point with economic pressure. See, I thought, if you go back, tell me I'm wrong because nobody's talking about it anymore, that if we go back a couple months ago, and because of the blockade and everything, weren't we at the point one day where any day now the oil was going to overflow their containers and their ability to put oil somewhere because it was still coming out of the ground. And if they stopped having it come out of the ground, then that could fuck it up down the road and how much they could get out of the ground. Mm-hmm. You remember? Do you remember that? Am I right? I'm on the right track, right? Mm-hmm. What happened to that? They're supposed to have so much oil and not getting any money that that was supposed to be devastating. Now we don't even talk about it. Why? If everything is closed, if you're not allowing anything out from Iran, how has that not happened then? That was supposed to happen weeks and weeks ago.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
I don't either.
And how much they were losing a day, and that inflation was 1,300% or whatever it was. And the Iranian people would get pissed and they would fight. What happened to that?
A lot changes.
I'm just asking questions.
A lot changes in a few months, I guess.
Because I'm a conservative. And as a conservative, we should still be able to ask those questions. And if you're not willing to ask those questions, you're just a shill. And I'm not going to, I don't like shills for Democrats. And I'm sure the fuck not going to be a shill for Republicans. And I'm still MAGA no matter what. I will remind people that I was MAGA before fucking Trump. I was Make America Great Again with Reagan. Even Bill Clinton used it. Even Obama said it a time or two. So that's where my setup is. I want to know. I want answers. I want to finish this bullshit. And there's the only good off-ramp is to ramp up the war and finish it. Do what you need to do to hit infrastructure that will be decimating. prepare the American people that some of these attacks are likely to kill civilians. Because you just have to. I'm not saying target them, but that in the process of targeting the things that need to be targeted, some civilians are going to die.
Especially when they throw them out there.
Yeah.
As like human body bags.
Well, Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah.
Civilians have died on both sides. I don't know how many times civilians have been directly targeted, but I think it's a minimum amount, but it still ends up being a good number of lives, you know, and Ukraine has lost all their young men. I think the average age of the men that are being drug into the war, and that's what is happening, they're being, what do they call that? Conscripted or conscript?
I'm actually unfamiliar with that.
It's something like that where, you know, it's like a draft. You're being forced to come. They're not volunteering. Okay. They're not volunteering. How about that?
Yeah.
And I don't know, I don't know about Russia either. And in fact, you know, Russia has needed help. Didn't North Korea send like 50,000 troops?
Oh,
Russia?
I wasn't. Yeah, I can look that up, but I'm not 100% certain on that either.
It's something like that.
I feel like I'm kind of useless right now. The last
no,
three
don't
things-
be. But dude,
like, I
that's
don't
what
know.
people don't understand about me is how much time I put into this, or how much I try to truly prepare myself and in the topics that I like and want to cover. It takes some work, dude.
Mhm.
It's 15K.
15,000
Yeah, 14 to 15,000.
is the number of troops. Okay. So they had talked about the number I said, but that so far that number hasn't arrived. So, yeah, you're Russia,
Yeah.
and you're pulling in troops from other fucking countries.
Well, wasn't there a big story about how like all these moms in Ukraine were like basically coming out and protesting because they're quite literally coming in vans, grabbing our sons and just sending them off to war without any warning, any choice. And I vividly remember.
You know what? That sounds an awful lot like something a dictator would do.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree 100%. That's very dictatorish dictatorish for sure.
Yeah. That's very dictatorish.
He well, what do you expect? Wasn't he on some reality TV show where he's playing the piano with his cock or something like that? Or no, that was Zelensky. Sorry.
That's who I thought you were talking about was Zelensky.
He was like on some like
I have no idea about playing a dick with he is playing a dick. Playing a piano with his cock. But
he was on something like that.
I mean, that's talented if you can do it. I mean, can you really rap out a song with your penis?
I know he was on like
on its own. How do you do it? I mean, are you using your dick to whip at the white key? You know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
See, that brings up a bunch of really crazy shit that you start thinking about, like.
He's been on reality TV shows like Ukrainian reality
I thought
TV.
he was on TV or was some kind of TV personality. I didn't know it was reality shows.
He was doing.
I thought he was supposed to be an actor.
If that's,
I'm just saying. I mean, we almost consider these reality participants to some extent. Equating them as actors now.
Yeah.
Because they're on this stupid show Dawn and I are watching that Married at First Sight. There's a guy on the season that we're watching. This is his 5th show.
Damn.
So that's the question: is his motive that the woman has is he really here for what the show is about, or is he here for some other reason?
Well, I just looked it up real quick. Yeah, there's a YouTube video. It says Volodymyr Zelensky 2016 playing piano with penis. That's the title of the YouTube video. I for a second I was like, wait, did I like hallucinate that? But no, it happens.
Okay.
That's just crazy to me. Just crazy as fuck to me.
But the first lady, who was a top model, had some more risque pictures, and she gets labeled to be a whore.
Yeah.
Or a porn star, when that was not the case. Just,
Yeah.
showing a little skin.
Yeah.
And absolutely gorgeous. The hottest first lady we've ever had. Even hotter than Jackie Kennedy. I don't care what people say. Jackie Kennedy was very classy, and I don't think any different today. But yeah, we went through the history of first ladies, and
I recall.
yeah,
that was like the first time I've ever done that.
It was kind of funny, but it was true. But good Lord, man, playing a piano with your penis?
Sounds like a leader to me. Leader of men.
It seems like something somebody would do when they know a little bit about playing piano and they're blackout drunk.
Yeah.
And they happen to do it in front of a group of people. That is imaginable that could happen. What's weird to imagine happening is somebody sober doing it on purpose and thinking it's a fucking talent.
Yeah. on their national TV. Like,
yeah, that it's a talent.
Yeah. I don't know who made these qualifications.
Well, what's the standard for how do you know he's good at playing the piano with his dick? What do you have it to compare it to? Because pretty much nobody else is trying to play the piano with their dick. So how do you know?
Yeah. I think it's just kind of just like, you win no matter what. You win.
You win. Oh my God. And that's what I want. I want to win. And I feel like I'm in a different place than a lot of other conservatives or Republicans. I'm just feel like I'm in a different place in what I want. I want the things that I voted for, still. I still want those things. That hasn't changed. Some things have been delivered, but everything's not been delivered. And some things that have been delivered, the promises I'm referring to, some of them, it's just not been to a satisfying level yet that I was expecting would happen. We're already halfway through, and it seems like some things have come out, like with the Fauci stuff and that stuff. But I feel like there's this mountain of evidence similar to this that they could have gone after the former FBI director for that kind of stuff, that they have stuff that would not look good for him.
Mm-hmm.
He let Hillary slide, and after getting everybody to chant, put her in jail,
Mm-hmm.
and I just feel like there are people that need to be held accountable that I thought he was going to do, and we're not doing that either. And some we're putting this stuff out there. What's gonna happen? Tell me what's gonna happen, because that's not enough. It's like We all know. You're not telling us anything new when you do these document dumps. It's just confirming everything we already believed that we were told was a conspiracy theory, right?
Yep.
Of course, it's a conspiracy theory. Of course. Yeah, of course it is. I expected different. And if we can't get different now, I have almost no faith getting that in the future. And that's why I spend so much time focusing on the things that I can control, because that is all I can do, no matter who the president is. But that doesn't mean that I'm not disappointed, because I very much am disappointed. But again, just so you stupid liberals know, I'm not disappointed to the point where I regret my vote, because there was no other alternative. I would never vote for you nut jobs. And I won't in the next election either. I just won't. You people are off your rocker. You're all fucked up. And I think you might get a rude awakening that the silent majority might show up in November, and you're going to shit yourself, because it's not going to be what you expected. It's going to be saying, yeah, we don't want crazy. We're even willing to accept, mainstream Democrats, except that we're not sure how many of them even exist anymore. Right?
Yeah.
We're not sure.
I can't think of one off the top of my head. Maybe would Fetterman be considered like a mainstream?
I guess now, but
he's not he's certainly not the Democrats that my grandma thinks she's voting for. That's 100%. I tell her all the time, I'm like the grandma of the Democratic Party. They're not what you're used to. Like I get you vote blue, but they're not the same people.
And DSA has taken over. The socialists have taken over.
Yeah.
They may not win every race, but they're winning. They are winning many of them. And you got to start somewhere, and they've started. And then they lie about the things they've said or done in the past that we can see with our eyes, that we can hear with our ears. That's a crazy world we're living in now. Is now we're being told that almost everything we see, almost everything we hear, it's not true. Don't believe. Let me tell you what it is. Let me tell you, because it's not what you think. And that is true, because that's why we've been talking about WNBA basketball, for God's sakes. You want me to not believe? Even Dawn said this, and I share my opinion a lot. Dawn shares hers sometimes. And maybe part of it is she just agrees with me, so she doesn't feel like repeating what I said, because we do agree pretty strongly on, most important things. And even she said she watched Stephanie White. She watched what she said in both press conferences, the one right after the game and then the one before the game, the next time they played. It just like, what is she saying? She didn't stick up for her players.
Yeah.
She made excuses about not seeing the play, and that's why she didn't do it. But see, that's not the answer. The answer is you don't have to see it. A coach's job is to always stick up for my players. And she didn't do that. And then got mad when she was called out about it. And now some pretty big names in media, which I don't think will influence what happens, but some pretty big is the bigger names in sports media and other media outlets have called for her to be gone, just be fired.
Yeah.
And I think they're early on that, because I don't think they'll do that at this time of the season with the potential they have of making it I think they make it to the semifinals for sure. I actually believe they will make it to the finals. And I don't know if they're good enough to win it all right now, but they're very, very close.
Mm-hmm.
When they have it all clicking, they are so fucking good. It's just sometimes they go through a quarter where things are just sloppy and too many turnovers and the threes aren't dropping. But when they are, and they're being dropped by multiple players. I mean, you got 5 chicks that I can think of instantly on that team that can drop threes, including Aaliyah Boston, who's you're big. You're big, can drop threes now better than she has previously in her career. She worked on it, and it shows, you know? So, but yeah, they just getting us, oh, don't believe this. Doesn't matter what you heard. Well, I also heard that, Stephanie White planned it on leading with Love, and Love would win. And if you don't like it, well, then you go to hell. My response is real simple. Fuck you. Fuck off. That's it. Because I know what what's really real is you just don't like us. And the more I learn about the WNBA, the more I understand that I don't think there is any other sports league where their main job or main function isn't the sport itself, but it's activism. Now, NBA players feel a certain way. NFL players feel a certain way. Hockey, about going to see the president if they win a championship, and all different kinds of things like that, but it's not the same. They're not dedicated to a small group of aggrieved people who believe they've been aggrieved, people who are professional victims. And that's what they are. They're professional victims. I'm calling out every motherfucker now. You start some racist shit, I'm calling you out. If you're black and you're saying some racist shit, I'm calling your fucking black ass out. Just like I would anybody else. It has nothing to do with your color. Just, you're racist. And I'm going to call it out when I see it. And I do. And like, you're being I really understand that deeper than I have before. How much they are just professional victims, and the ability to be successful with that mindset, it's the toughest task there is. Easily the toughest. Because it just doesn't work. And you just want to be pissed off that somebody got a start that you didn't. I remember wrestling, and we had these small little camps that they did for us for about a week or two. When we were in 5th and 6th grade, the wrestling team would come over to the elementary school and show us what wrestling was, because most of us in the 5th grade thought wrestling was WWE. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what we thought. And it's not. They showed us what real wrestling was. But we didn't have little bitty teams back then. We didn't, that just wasn't, that may have been in some areas of the country, but it wasn't in ours. All right. That all came later and things. But, I remember going up against, or seeing friends go up against, kids whose father were wrestling coaches. And these kids have literally been grappling from 4 or 5 years old on.
Mm-hmm.
And your mindset, they like, can I beat this guy? That's all he's been doing. And they were beatable sometimes. But that whole mindset was really super hard. And I was like, man, what could I have done if I would have started sooner? Because I was pretty good, I was better than 90% of them already, Who I wasn't better at was the very top ones.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'd finish second. My results showed. I finished second.
Yeah. The ones that have been doing it since they're able to wrestle.
Yeah.
Physically.
Yeah. But, what good would it have done for me to be upset or hold a grudge or that's not fair? I didn't get to do that. That's what these people sound like with race. It's the same thing. Maybe one, obviously, racial issues more important, but that's not how I'm comparing it. I'm just comparing it to holding this, look, I lost everything, man. Everything, and had to fucking start over. And I couldn't focus on the people that fucked me over for very long, because if I did, that could have been the excuse my rest of my life. It's because of this. I had it, and it was taken away from me. It was stolen, and it didn't matter if it was true or not, because it really was. But I couldn't do anything about that. I could only do something about my reaction to it. And when you look at the number and the ability of people of all races now to accomplish pretty much anything if they want to, including the Black community, what are you talking about, man? There's nobody that, I probably mentioned it a long time ago, but there's nobody that was more had the worst start in life. I mean, really, really the worst start. And the things that happened to her were, you're just like, oh, that's so awful. And the person that I'm talking about is Oprah Winfrey. And if you don't know Oprah's story, just check it out without any, well, I'm conservative, I don't like Oprah now. Like, dude, I don't care about that part, but if you don't respect what Oprah went through in being abused and raped and just all the shit she went through and how her life turned out because of her. She had every reason to have a shitty life and blame what happened to her in life. She had every reason to do that. And nobody could deny it. She wouldn't have been successful either. But she was successful. One of the most successful women of our generation. And, politics aside, I respect shit like that, man. Why wouldn't you respect that? I don't give two fucks what she says about Trump or Republicans or conservatives. I look at that part of her that I can say, because I don't agree with the politics, but I don't have to. But I look at that other part, it's like, man, there's a path or a journey. There's some shit you can learn from that. And if you don't learn from shit like that, life will teach it to you. And I guarantee that's motherfucking harder. And sometimes we're just, at least I am, sometimes in life I just been stubborn. That somebody else told me the answer, and I was just too stubborn to take that answer and avoid some pain. I needed to feel that pain myself and make the mistake. And that's true too sometimes. But man, if you can avoid that fucking shit, that sounds like a good idea.
I'd agree.
Yeah. That's why this all bothers me. It bothers me that that just this perpetual being a victim. And that's what, when we go to voting, I looked it up. 91% of all adults already have a driver's license in the United States. And I don't know how many, or what the percentage is, I didn't ask. Of the 9% that doesn't have a driver's license, how many of those have a state ID or a passport? How many have that? And if you take that number and add it to the 91%, is it 92? Is it 93? It's something, right? That's going to take us even closer to they have ID, right? But I'll stick with the 91% number just for the purpose of argument, even though we know the number of people that have ID is more. That's just driver's license. So what are we talking about, man? 9% of people? You think that, so it's so hard to get an ID that 91% of motherfuckers could do it, but the other 9% can't because it's a poll tax. They can't afford it. This is so stupid. It's as dumb as thinking, you're trying to suppress the black vote. Guess what? Most of them have driver's licenses. But the few that don't, you're condemning them like they're so stupid that they're unable to do it. They're unable to do it without government help. And that's the way they want it. You just have to understand that's the way they really want things. They want you to not be able to do it without government. They don't want, if you do it without government, like Oprah Winfrey did, they don't like that. They want you to believe you need government help to do anything, to raise your child, to feed your child, whatever. We got to be there. See, as a Christian, I'm all about feeding people like Jesus did. I can turn money into fish, but I can't turn one fish into many fish. But I can turn some green into some fish. But a conservative believes that after you feed them, that you assist them with some type of program or whatever help they need so that in 6 months they can feed themselves. Democrats just want you to perpetually just be down and just we're gonna take money from other people. We're gonna take other people's labor and we're gonna give it to somebody else and we're gonna feed you for as long as you need. And I just think that's wrong. I don't, because they try to pretend Jesus was this compassionate person all the time. And look, that's not who he was. And how would you know? You don't believe in him. You think we believe in a fairy tale.
Old wives' tale.
Yeah. You're weak because you believe in God. But yeah, tell me more how I should be as a Christian, because your opinion matters when you're not one. That's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the same ones that try to make fun of others for having any sort of faith at all are the same ones, like you said, are relying on government help. So, I mean, who, like, in a way, like, well, basically the whole reason is that they just want to keep them down so the Democrats can stay up. That's like the end goal. We all know that. But it's just very rich to hear that stuff when people say, oh, you can't do X thing, you can't do this and that, and then it gets done, and then, like you said, they bring up an excuse. Oh, well, they had this going for them, and oh, they did that. It's like, no, it's just like they really buckled down, they really rooted into what they believe, their faith, and they used that to propel themselves. That's where they get that strength from. And when people try to talk down on that, whether me as an outsider looking in, and I see that, it makes me I gravitate towards that side more, because why would I want to be on a side that constantly complains and makes excuses for themselves compared to people that don't do that? They actually get it out the mud because they have something that they can grasp on, something that helps uplift them rather than stay down.
I'm very impressed and very proud of you.
Thanks. Appreciate it. I can tell. I was like, he's looking a little bit more, I guess, an impressed look on his face.
Yeah. That was very well said.
Thank you.
And that's to be there. And you've heard me say this before, where you are with it's okay to be there. It's okay to be there. It's a process. And something's pulling you one way versus another. Well, I trust God enough that that He'll do the pulling that needs to be done when it needs to be done in your life. That's why, I'm willing to talk about it at any time or answer questions, but I'm not about pushing or pressing on people.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, very, very, very impressed with that. That's good, because that's really it. And one of my friends, actually, did I have that? It was so good. He reposted somebody else's thing about Jesus, and it was actually long, but it was so fucking good. I saved it because I was like, man, I might want to talk about this sometime, because it was just so fucking good and different than what many people would say. Let me see. It's up here. Come on. I know it was really recent. This was 5 days. Oh, that's not his actual page. That's why. There, I got his actual page now. I should be able to find it quickly. But I was just really surprised in some of the things that I absolutely believe and think were really spelled out in this. Man, he posts a lot.
You're like, goddamn, post a little
That
less.
was just one day I've scrolled through.
Post a little less, goddamn, so I can find it.
Uh-huh.
Just kind of doubling back
yeah, go ahead.
something earlier. Bob did kind of help us out with the vaccine that you were wondering what it was, where the mother had to be doing something while she had the baby, and he said it was the Hep B vaccine.
Yep, hepatitis. Like that, literally, a decent doctor will tell you you don't really need it, but they throw it in there anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And that just shouldn't happen, man. It's not explained to them that they really, really don't need it. Well, fuck. I really thought it was really super recent. I'll have to do it a different time.
I say, if you want,
I got it right now.
Oh, perfect.
So he has this picture that goes with it, and the person, I don't know the person he's reposting. The person he's reposting is Jim Palmer, and this is Jason McCluskey, Jaybird from back in Toledo, Ohio. So we've shared some things back and forth over the last 6 months or so, I'd say. So Jesus, white Jesus, typical, white Jesus, holding a baby lamb. I mean, if there isn't something more cuddly than that, I don't know what it is. But here's what it has to say. That picture of Jesus is laughable. Jesus was not some sweet, neatly groomed white guy wandering around with a baby lamb in his arms, picking daisies, patting children on the head, and dispensing sentimental advice about being nice and lose the halo. Jesus was not the harmless, domesticated figure Christianity has so often made him into. Jesus pissed people off. He violated religious expectations, crossed boundaries respectable people considered sacred, touched the untouchable, ate with the unacceptable, defended the condemned, and repeatedly confronted religious authorities who believed they spoke for God. Jesus called religious leaders hypocrites, blind guides, fools, snakes, and whitewashed tombs. He walked into the temple, overturned tables, disrupted business, and drove people out. Imagine Jesus doing that in your church this Sunday. Security would have him on the pavement before the second worship song. There was a Jesus before Christianity, before the creeds, denominations, popes, pastors, megachurches, worship bands, doctrinal statements, altar calls, Christian bookstores, Christmas pageants, and $80 leather Bibles. Jesus wasn't a Christian. He never asked anyone to become one. He did not start Christianity, formulate a doctrine of original sin, construct a theory of substitutionary atonement, or tell people they had to believe the correct theological propositions about him to escape eternal torture. Christianity was built around him after he died, and somewhere along the way, one of history's most disruptive figures became the mascot of the kind of institutional religion he spent his life confronting. The Jesus before Christianity was fierce, confrontational, courageous, and almost impossible to domesticate. He announced another kingdom in the shadow of Caesar's empire. Welcomed people, religion pushed aside, warned the powerful, blessed the poor, and kept finding himself at tables with the people respectable society had condemned. Jesus did not tell people to behave themselves and accept the world as it was. He told them the world they had accepted as normal was upside down, and then he started turning it over. That is why the historical Jesus was a lightning rod. Rome didn't crucify people for being nice. Crucifixion was public torture carried out by an empire against people it regarded as threats to its order. Jesus ended up hanging on a Roman cross. Sit with that for a moment before turning it into jewelry. Which brings us to the church's favorite question: what would Jesus do? Please. Most Christians don't actually want Jesus doing what Jesus did. They want him safely contained in stained glass. They wanted Jesus who blesses their lives, validates their beliefs, protects their tribe, endorses their politics, forgives their sins, guarantees heaven when they die, and asks as little as possible of them in the meantime. The actual Jesus is far more threatening. He might overturn some tables. He might ask why your church needs another multi-million-dollar building while people sleep on sidewalks. He might sit beside the person your religion said God rejects. He might have harsher words for religious hypocrisy than for the people you've been calling sinners. Jesus said that following him meant taking up a cross. We turned the cross into a necklace. There may be no better symbol for what institutional Christianity has done to Jesus. An instrument of execution became an accessory. A summons to radical transformation became a belief system. The man who challenged religious authority became the supreme authority of another religion. Somewhere along the way, believing things about Jesus became a substitute for becoming anything like him. Because worshiping Jesus is much easier than following him. You can worship Jesus and keep your privilege, protect your reputation, despise your neighbor, surrender your conscience to a political party, and remain comfortably embedded in systems that exploit, exclude, humiliate, and destroy other people. You can worship Jesus without changing much of anything. Following him is another matter. Following Jesus puts something at risk: your certainty, your comfort, your status, your tribe, your need to be right, and your allegiance to institutions that demand your silence or complicity. Maybe that is why Christianity has spent 2,000 years making Jesus safer. A domesticated Jesus can be worshiped without disturbing much of anything. The Jesus before Christianity is considerably harder to deal with. And there is a bitter irony in all of this. The man who terrified religious authorities became the centerpiece of a religion that is often terrified of people who behave like him. I've often more thought of Jesus as a badass. Seriously. And that, when people would get on my shit for swearing and stuff, it's like, if you really looked at the language that he used, it was like, when he was overturning the tables and shit, it was actually like the swear words of the day that they used, that they had, Totally different message there.
Oh, yeah.
Than what you normally would get. And I thought a very good one. And I didn't know it would fit in like it did today, but it has. And today's show, nothing like I expected. Nothing like we had planned. Nothing.
Mm-mm.
But I think it's one of the better ones. Kind of like how that all happened. So I got on that war shit for a reason. Okay? And the reason is, and we all need to be pissed about this, you fucking liberals, for once, just one motherfucking time, okay? One time you should care about the men and women who serve. And we have a crisis, and people should be fired. I don't know who. Maybe even Hegseth, who I like, maybe he should be fired. Okay? But people should be fired. We have people in the Strait of Hormuz that are on the USS Lincoln that are living in conditions on this ship that are so bad that 6 of them have chosen to literally jump off the ship. 6. Do you think they're trying to send a message to someone somewhere? And that message is, what the fuck is going on? I had no idea. I'm sure some of the families do. Now, when in a previous relationship, 2 of the 2 sons were twins, and they both went into the service. One went into the Air Force, the other one went into the Marines. And I know how they were treated after, the boot camp and everything. And I sent them things. I sent them food. Like, why am well, of course I would do it. And whatever they needed, I would take care of. But I didn't feel it was my place. I thought it was the government's place. You have you're not your own person when you're in the military. They own you 24/7. It's not a 9 to 5. It's 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you get a weekend pass or some bullshit, but there's still limitations of what you can do during that time. Okay. So you are not your own. They own you. Well, if you own them, fucking take care of them. Take care of our young men and women and our older men and women that are serving. Take care of them. Having enough food while they're on this shitty ship for almost a year, that should, I don't, start dropping some packages on the ship or beside the ship. Whatever you have to do, start dropping some shit. And, like whatever kinds of stuff. This just should not be a thing. And if we can't take care of our men and women that are already serving, you got to remember, the two boys that I'm talking about, they joined before they were 18. So parents had to sign off. And they joined during Biden was still president. And both of these young men were conservatives. And if you have to understand, if you go back to those years, the recruiting of men for every service we have, they were not reaching their goals. They are now. They're reaching their goals in like 9-10 months, whatever the yearly goal is. We weren't doing that then. So they didn't join because of President Trump or anything like that. They joined for two reasons. Because they really cared about service to the country, and they thought it was a good opportunity, and it was incredible what it did for them, even the first 9 to 12 weeks. Just the change, and because what you're doing when you're in the military that's invaluable is every motherfucking day they're doing something that is uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you do in the military will be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Everything. And like I said, we shouldn't have had to send them food, but we did. Protein powder, bars, whatever we could, because oftentimes their food that they paid for, the mess hall wasn't open. They couldn't eat there. And they didn't make shit, so they could only order Grubhub or whatever, so many times. It was hard. But we're at motherfucking war. I want to know why, and there should be an immediate investigation. I'm trying to think of the committee, but I can't off the top of my head, but it will. But there are a number of committees that would address this. They need to do this now. And fuck this shit that you have to do your fucking job. Yeah, I realize you have to go back and campaign, some of you, but your campaigning isn't as important as taking care of men and women that you sent into war. I find it absurd. I find it maddening. And every motherfucker that is a U.S. See, I don't really believe a lot of you Democrats or liberals are real patriots. Show me you are. Put aside the other bullshit for a minute. Stop arguing with me. And how about we take care of an issue like this together and demand that you either feed them or bring them the fuck home. Because I'm done supporting this. Like, I've supported shit before and then regretted it later because of how long it went. No, either show me you're going to fight to win this war and you're going to take care of our troops properly, okay? You want to spend billions on equipment and billions and keep asking for billions more for equipment, billions for other fucking countries, billions for Israel. Oh, no. Troy must be getting paid by the anti-Israel lobby. They said something about Israel. Sending fucking money to Ukraine endlessly. But we don't have money for food to take care of our troops. Okay. Either decide we're going to win the war now or bring them the fuck home. That's my message to President Donald Trump. I've supported you. Show me you're going to win the war and stop telling me what the fuck you're going to do. I don't want to hear about what you're going to do. I don't need to know. And because the truth is, whatever information you give me is going to be a sliver. I don't know everything. And they never tell us everything, ever.
They never will.
They never will. Even when they promise.
I was going to bring
transparency. Go ahead.
I was going to bring up the same examples you just brought up. We send plenty of money to Israel. We send plenty of money to Ukraine. Hell, we have people here with 8 fucking kids who they get that SNAP deposit on time every month. They don't have any issue feeding their kids. Why would it be an issue to feed the people that are defending our country? Why is that a problem?
And why can't you, if you're a liberal, join me in this? Why can't you put the other bullshit aside? And you may not agree with my win the war part, but I don't think that's that outrageous. Because I would never get in the ring, boxing, wrestling, anything. I would never, I wouldn't get in a street fight. And my street fights are totally different than what you motherfuckers think. Okay? But I would never do anything like that without going in, wanting and expecting and trying and doing everything in my power to win. I just wouldn't do it. I would rather not do it than I'd just rather not do it. If I'm not gonna do everything I can to win. And if I lose, I lose. I don't care. I'll take my beating, whatever you can give, but I'm not backing down. Go into this to win or bring them the fuck home. Yeah, this isn't as long as Afghanistan or Iraq and all that shit, but this is still the same premise. If we're not going to win, what the fuck are we doing? I don't think a single school in Afghanistan that we established is still operating today. And if any are, you know what you won't find inside that Afghan school?
What's that?
Guess. Come on. Think quick. Huh? Which students? Which? There's only 2. Pick one.
No, the boys or the girls?
There won't be girls.
Yeah, the girls.
They don't teach girls, man. They hate that shit, man. They're like, get fuck home, put your veil on and shit. Yeah, none of those schools are teaching little girls anymore.
No. That's been a thing for a while.
But good participation. I like that. Yeah, that was good. Right? They're not doing that. Fight to win or bring them the fuck home. But don't mistreat these people who have volunteered We don't have the conscript. We don't have any draft. And this country would never tolerate one again. We just wouldn't. No. You'd either be, if it was that serious, patriots would step up and enlist, even if they were older. But we will never, I promise you, we will never have a draft again. Unless it's 100 years from now when they don't remember all this shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But just, yeah.
Be washed away.
For my generation and the children that my generation has produced, okay, yeah, we would be like, yeah, no, it's not gonna be. In fact, I don't like the whole service signing up thing that we still do. I don't like that. Why do we have that? It's a waste of money. We will never, ever allow a draft. So all of these people have volunteered to do this very difficult, uncomfortable thing. Oh, I never mentioned the second reason they did it. School. Money for school.
Yeah.
Because they're both very, very, very smart.
That GI Bill.
Yeah, they were both very, very smart. So they just saw this as a way to do that and come out of school without any money, but the discipline they've gotten. Most people do not learn this level of discipline until maybe their 30s, maybe. And that's why that discipline is so fucking important, because motivation is bullshit. But again, they volunteered. They volunteered under a president they didn't even fucking like. That's how important this country was to them. Man, we need more of that. What we don't need is to mistreat them. We don't need to do that. So I don't know what's going on here, but that was enough for me, knowing that 6 people have jumped off, that this is huge and a huge problem. And if Trump is the troop-loving president I thought he was, he would get this taken care of immediately. He would be talking about it today. Anytime the media asks, like, I didn't know this. I know this now. It's completely unacceptable. I'm getting reports, and people that need to be fired are going to be fired, no matter what level you are. You could be a general. You could be leading the whole fucking thing, but people are gonna feel the consequences of this. We take care of our men and women. Okay, we do that. So, make some phone calls. If we keep talking about this, and put some pressure on them. Look, we're talking about the WNBA, for God's sakes. If we have time for that bullshit, we got time for this. Tell me which one is more important. So, yeah, join me in making some phone calls, and it should be real simple. You are my representative. You are my senator. I want you to find out what the fuck is going on. Why are we not feeding our troops, and why are they jumping off ships? I want answers. Let these motherfuckers feel the heat like they haven't felt in a long time. Stop thinking that we can't make a difference in our country, because we can, if we want to, if we choose to. Or maybe you can live with and accept that, well, we're just going to shit on the people that, are willing to put their lives on the line. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to shit on them? Because if you don't fight for them, if you don't stand up for them, you might as well be shitting on them.
So there's not really much of a difference at that point, in
right?
my eyes.
There isn't. So that got me like super fired up seeing that, and I didn't want to end the show without addressing that, because it's important to me. And I'm also going to we're going to make some phone calls. We need to make some calls to some representatives that we can get on the podcast, or at least try. because I want to ask about shit like this. And I don't care if they're Democrat or Republican to come on. Don't care. Tell them what I care about. I care about the troops and addressing this. Maybe you want to come on the show and show people that you give a shit about this too. Maybe we need to make this shit go viral. Okay? We make all kinds of dumb shit viral. How about we make something important viral? All right. I want everybody to have a great weekend. Yeah, have a great weekend. And appreciate you both, Leo and Mikey G.
Same to you, sir.
Thank you very much for today. And the rest of you, much love, honor, and respect. This is the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy.
Who knew I would make this far? They never believed me. Yeah, I would never touch a ball. I know I'm making it easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the